The 1830 PSS family consists of two different NE types, the SWDM-NE and the OCS-NE. The SWDM-NE supports WDM and switching. Examples for an SWDM-NE are PSS-8, PSS-16, PSS-16-2, and PSS-32, representing the WDM functionality. On the other hand, PSS-8X and PSS-24X are SWDM-NEs, providing the switching functionality. All SWDM-NEs have a similar web-based user interface. The second NE type is the OCS-NE, which supports primarily the switching functionality. OCS-NEs are PSS-36 and PSS-64. This diagram explains an OCS system. The TDM switching is performed by an agnostic matrix. The agnostic matrix switches client port to client port or client port to uplink card. Client cards provide Ethernet, SDH, SONET, and OTN interfaces, while uplink cards provide OTN interfaces. This is the working principle of an OCS-NE like PSS-36 or PSS-64. On the other hand, some SWDM systems like PSS-8X or PSS-24X operate in the same way. To extend the capacity of a single 1830 PSS node, it is possible to form a network element consisting of a master shelf and a number of extension shelves. This page shows an OCS-NE as an example. The master shelf of an NE has a public IP address and is attached to management communication via OAM port. In larger applications, an NE with extension shelves saves a huge number of IP addresses. The OCS-NE can consist of one master shelf and up to 7 expansion shelves. All shelf types are PSS-36 or PSS-64. The LAN cabling distance between the NE shelves is limited to 100 meters or 300 foot. An SWDM-NE provides two functionalities. First, it contains photonic routing and switching, which is the WDM functionality. This diagram shows the WDM switching in view of a 2-degree ROADM. The incoming optical signal will be amplified by a line driver, passes a multiplexer or demultiplexer, and will be switched by a wavelength selective switch. This functionality is provided by SWDM systems like PSS-8, PSS-16, PSS-16-2, and PSS-32. The second functionality of an SWDM is also shown in the diagram. It is the TDM switching, which was explained as an OCS functionality before. PSS-8X and PSS-24X are SWDM-NEs which support the TDM switching functionality. The SWDM-NE can consist of one master shelf and up to 23 expansion shelves. Each SWDM-NE can include PSS-24X as a master or an extension. Each SWDM-NE supports an IP address and L1 GMPLS for 24X or L0 GMPLS on its master. The SWDM is always the PSS-8, PSS-16 to PSS-32, PSS-24X, PSS-16, and PSS-8X. As shown, it can be extended by other SWDM shelves. The size of an SWDM-NE depends on the shelf type and on its role in a cluster. Detailed information are given on the following slides. A cluster is a set of these NEs that are connected with each other so that NEs in the cluster can manage OTs coming from other NEs. The cluster is hierarchical, with one NE being master and all others being slaves. SWDM NE is the main NE of a cluster. Other NEs are tributary NEs. A cluster may be composed of one or more OCS NEs, up to 3, one or more SWD. How many extension shelves can be configured as an extension shelf to an SWDM master in detail? This depends on two parameters, the SWDM shelf type, and on the other hand, its role in a cluster, main or tributary NE. In this case, the SWDM NE acts as main cluster NE, and PSS8, PSS16-2, PSS24X, and PSS32 with 32EC2 are allowed to act as a master shelf. The other SWDM shelf types, such as PSS16, PSS32 with EC, PSS8X, can run as extension shelves only. This table is valid if the SWDM NE acts as a tributary cluster NE. In the addition to the case before, PSS16 and PSS32 are allowed to run as a master shelf. Let's quickly recap what we learned in this module. In this module, we have covered the following items. Identify the 1830 PSS portfolio. Explain an overview of the main features and architectures.